what's up, guys? It is your girl, Donjia M, and we are back with another Ask 15 Questions 2. And we are here with the beautiful, the phenomenal, the fashionista herself. Okay, she's here. We're going to get more into that part of her a little bit later. But ladies and gentlemen, she is here. Thank you all for your questions that you asked to her. Tanisha, how are you doing? How are you?
I am doing okay.
That is good.
Free. Thank you, Jesus.
Amen. Amen to that. Thank you again for accepting this invite into inquiring minds had so many questions, and I'm happy that you accepted to answer all of our questions. Is there anything you want to say before we jump into these questions?
No, I am pretty much an open book. A lot of people often ask me different questions about my profession, and I'm free to talk about it. I don't obviously name names because of confidentiality,
of course.
But let's talk.
Okay, perfect. And we're very familiar with that because we've already talked to like a social worker and all of those things. So we know that, of course, you can't name names, but just thank you again for giving this information. So we're going to jump in. Number one, tell us about yourself.
About myself. So I am a 40-something-year-old female entrepreneur slash death investigator, forensic science major. And I love God and I love fashion.
Listen to that. She loves God and she loves fashion. What a combo there. And she's downplaying. I was told that every time someone asks a question, tell me about yourself. It's like one of the hardest questions to answer.
It is.
But this is why we have all the rest of these questions to dig into who you really are. So question number 2, what does a forensic scientist do?
Okay, so the forensic scientist studies the anatomy portion of the human body. In forensics, the study of the human body is done for the purposes of finding out the cause of death. Usually when an autopsy is performed in a medical examiner's situation, it's because it was either a homicide, suicide, a natural death, or an accident, or a SIDS death, which is sudden infant death syndrome for babies. In those instances, an autopsy is done. In other instances, autopsies are done in hospitals for research purposes. So if someone had a tumor or cancer or anything of that sort, and the family wanted to get an autopsy done, it would be done for research purposes. The autopsies that are done at the medical examiner's office are for finding out the cause and manner of death, due to, say, if it was a homicide, if someone got, let's say someone got stabbed. Okay. So if they got stabbed with a knife, it's a homicide. The cause of death would be homicide, but the manner of death would be what the knife impacted. So where the knife impacted. So it would be homicide, manner of death would be right lung, or something like that. So I first started out doing autopsies for the medical examiner's office. And at the medical examiner's office, there were a lot of cases that were done to find out the cause of death. I started working at the medical examiner's office in Newark, which is one of the largest offices that handles 4 counties, Essex County, Hudson County, Somerset County, and Hudson, Somerset, Essex, and I'm forgetting one. Hudson, Somerset, Essex. It'll come back to me. But because they handle those 4 counties, there can be a lot of cases. So imagine having homicides in Newark, suicides in Jersey City, more natural deaths or a SIDS case in another county and in another county, and then all that for one day. So it's a lot. I got most of my training there. And it, equipped me for where I am like today.
Wow. There was so much information there. Like literally, I knew to an extent because, anybody that watches TV, you watch the Law and Orders and the all the other, shows that deal with forensic scientists. And, most of the time it's dealing with crime and you want to know the cause of death and all of that stuff. But to even know the side of research, I did not know that for research purposes that you can get an autopsy done. Wow. That was a doozy. Okay. Question number 3. Is a forensic scientist the same as a mortician?
No, completely different. So forensic science studies the human body in its deceased state. And a mortician prepares the body for the funeral. So after I'm done with the autopsy and I've taken all the organs out and I've weighed all the organs and I've taken my sections of the organs, or the doctor has taken his sections of the organs, because you have to take sections of each organ and you have to take blood and toxicology to form, your cause of death. After all that's done, the body is sewn back up and then is given to the funeral home. So when it's given to the funeral home, then the mortician would take the body, clean it out, clean the cavity out. If it was an autopsy, if it wasn't an autopsy, then they wouldn't do that, obviously. And they would embalm the body or prepare it, however it's going to be prepared. If the family decided that they wanted to have, just a burial with no viewing, or a direct cremation, or of that sort. So that's the difference. The mortician is preparing the body for viewing, using chemical fluids to embalm the body, to prepare it and to preserve it for viewing.
Right. So basically, like, the forensic scientist is what it is, like the scientific part of it, the medical aspect, the cause of death, all of those things. And then, like you said, once you finish, then you send it to funeral home and they prepare it. Do you guys deal with embalming fluid at all?
Yes, we do. Okay. We do, because we preserve tissue. So because we preserve tissue, the embalming fluid that we use is not as strong as the embalming fluid that the morticians would use, because they're preserving the entire body. Mm-hmm. We're just preserving tissue. Yeah, we both use embalming fluid.
Okay, so this is not one of my questions, but this is a thing that I kept seeing come up, right? They wanted, mm-hmm. I didn't include it, but I was like, I'll tag it in there after we talk about this. So someone asked the statement, is it true that at the funeral home, a body can have its like last breath or like pop up out of a casket? Like if you see on like videos or things like that, can that happen?
Okay. So let me dispel that myth.
Yeah.
Let me dispel that myth. If a body has been embalmed, if a body has been autopsy, is definitely not getting back up. It's definitely not letting out a gasp. Nothing, none of that is happening. Okay. However, when the body comes to us, when the deceased person comes to us, they're coming in their natural state. So maybe while I'm taking the clothes off and getting ready to take pictures of the back, it may let out a gasp of air. But it's nothing, or it may let out gases, secretions mm-hmm. from the the body, because the first part of the breakdown of the human body is in the gastrointestinal area. That is the first part that breaks down. So usually, like, if you I don't know if anyone has smelled a deceased person before, but if you have, then that smell is usually in the gastrointestinal area. So that is the portion that breaks down first. And if you've seen a body or anything like that, and it's green around the abdomen area, mm-hmm. that's because that's the portion that's breaking down the fastest.
Wow. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. The myth has been canceled. Do not worry about going to your loved one's service.
Guess what? If I see a body get up, like sit up, I'm out. And all the years that I've been doing this, and I've been doing this for over 20 years.
Wow.
I have never seen a body just jump up or get up or anything like that. That has never happened.
Just the gases. Just the gases.
So, ladies and gentlemen, are released.
There it is.
Gases are released. So no.
There it is. So you don't have to worry about if you're the first one to the wake, that if you're the only one in there with the body, it's not going to pop up. Okay. Because I kept seeing that question. People kept asking. All I want to ask is, do people just pop up out of caskets? Do they? I'm like, okay, I'm going to squeeze it in there somewhere. Okay. All right. So, question number 4. So you humbly named your whole title, but I'm gonna insert it right here so they know the whole, because you sent it to me and I was like, child, she booked and busy, y'all. She booked. So question number 4 is, what is a death investigator? You have to tell us. Give us more about.
Glad you asked. Yes. Glad you asked. And that's a good question, because oftentimes when you think of when you see CSI or when you see Law and Order or all those shows, I am the person who arrives at the scene first, before the medical examiner arrives there. Usually the police arrive because they'll call us, and I arrive at the scene. So I would arrive at the scene. I assess the scene. I assess the body. I check the temperature of the body, and that's very important because it determines not it determines the time of death, but other factors determine the time of death also. So the death investigator has to pull information. So if they're at a scene and it is let's say it's a suicide, and the body is clearly dead, but semi-warm, right?
Okay.
We can probably guesstimate when's the last time they were alive. We can guesstimate from phone records, who was the last person that they spoke to, who was the last person to see them enter the apartment or the home. We gather all that information up. And then for a suicide, we look to find out clues. Why did this person do what they did? Did they leave a note? Did they not leave a note? Sometimes people leave notes. Sometimes people don't leave notes. I've seen suicides that were very detailed to the T, like everything was laid out, and even what they wanted done to their body. So we looked for all those clues. And we also looked to make sure that there was no foul play, to make sure that it was actually a suicide and it was not a homicide, or it wasn't staged to, So that's the purpose of the death investigator. They make sure that the scene is secure and that any and every piece of evidence that is needed to find out what this person died from is given and taken to the medical examiner's office.
Wow. So I am connected to a real live CSI person. For all of y'all out there watching TV, saying no. So again, this is not one of my questions, but it's a tag along. So is that like, were you always in that field, or is this something that you
started? So I had to go to school. I had to go to school for the death investigator. Well, for all of it, but for the death investigator part, I went to St. Louis University and I took a death investigator course. And then after you take that course, you have to do, how like you have to get credit. So you have to do like ride-alongs with other investigators and assess the scenes with them. And then you're out on your own.
So you kind of, you segue right into our next question, because question number 5 is, what did your schooling consist of? So I guess you already spoke about the death investigator part, but for the forensic science portion.
The forensic science portion, that is, you can choose essentially anything. What I decided to do, I took a different route because I wanted to be certified in a couple of different things. So I did the forensic science, and that's usually 4 years. And it's a lot of pathology. It's not so much a lot of chemistry, but it's a lot of studying the human body, and knowing every part of the human body, knowing every part of the heart, knowing all the organs. And then I took it a step further because I've always wanted to be a funeral director. So then I went to school for mortuary science. And so I have a mortuary science degree as well. So, which I'm not using right now. I kind of took a step back. When I originally started this field, I think that's one of the questions that you always want to be. I don't know if I'm jumping ahead.
No, you can't. Listen, I don't have no
Okay.
problem with tagging questions in because the questions do pop up. So go ahead,
Okay.
just talking.
So, I've always wanted to be in the science field or in that space, but I wanted to be a heart surgeon. And I kind of chickened out because it was too many years of schooling, and I just didn't do it. So one day, it was on my birthday, I was living downtown North, and I just walked past the medical examiner's office, and I filled out the application. I had no idea what I was walking into, what I was going into, but I will always remember the distinct smell of that place.
Oh my God.
And filled out the application, went about my business, and then they got back to me. It was actually I filled out that application randomly. It was on my birthday when they got back to me.
Okay, so it was before your birthday that you did
Right.
that. Oh wow.
Yeah, so I want to say it was a month later when they got back to me,
Wow.
and asked me to come in for an interview. And so that was like the best birthday present. and yeah, and so I did that, and while being there, I got all types of certifications. So I am certified in forensic fingerprinting. I'm certified in natural mass disaster preparedness. So like this coronavirus, for instance, it wasn't considered a mass disaster, but a mass disaster would be considered like a plane crash, and everybody in the plane passed away. I'm certified in gathering up all the information and doing everything that needs to be done, following every single step of the time that plane went down, all the way until finding out the cause of death.
Wow.
So as far as like forensic fingerprinting, if a body was dismembered and the only identifier were the hands, right? But say the hands were not decomposed, but mummified. Mm-hmm. Say they were mummified. Say the person had been dead for a long time, but the hands were mummified. So I've learned how to bring the hands back to life, so to speak, and get a fingerprint to find out who that person is.
Wow. Whoa. Oh my gosh. Okay. So that I'm obviously it gives you a greater advantage in the work that you do, and just skill set wise, like, oh yeah, we got this person, we can't really identify them, their hands are whatever, and you could be like, well, I got this one, I got it, I can do it. That's cool though. That is so cool, and I think that is always great to be in a place and find out how to better yourself even in that place. So getting certifications where you are to be able to not say have an advantage over people, but in a sense, be able to offer something more to the job. Like you should never just be complacent. So that's that is a great testament. I love that.
I'm always a student. A student.
We have to, especially the way the world's going now. Think of being a teacher. There were so many teachers that probably never did a video call, never did slideshows, never did anything. So there were mass trainings on just that alone. And I felt honored that I already knew these things and that portion of the transition wasn't that hard. So we always have to remain studious. Always. Even when you know a lot, you always have to remain studious. So what question was that? Okay, question number 6. How is your work schedule?
Pre-COVID or post-COVID?
Everybody, all of the things, all of it.
So before COVID, because now I'm in a hospital setting, but before I was working for the medical examiner's office, but let me just put a pause in there because I still work for the medical examiner's office per diem.
Okay.
So I still am doing autopsies on a consistent basis. It wasn't as busy, but when COVID happened, it became more busy, but not in a sense where there were autopsies being done, because nobody knew, scientists didn't know, what type of disease this was and how people were being affected and catching this disease. So autopsies weren't being done. They were being suspended. But what happened was there was an influx of bodies, like several bodies. Imagine a ShopRite trailer. Okay, picture a ShopRite trailer, and when you picture a ShopRite trailer, if you can, I want you to put one.
Yeah.
Yes, I want you to insert it. Picture a ShopRite trailer. Now picture 4 ShopRite trailers lined up side by side. That was the amount of bodies that were in those trailers. Okay, so what is a ShopRite trailer? 40 feet, 50 feet?
Yes,
something like that. Imagine 4 of those trailers every day, consistently, raising the door up and putting it down, raising it up and putting it down. And I was in charge of all 4 trailers, over 200 bodies. And it got so bad that a recovery room was used to hold bodies because the trailers couldn't hold all of them. So imagine, coming in, I had literally a list. I think I have it here. I had a list, and I'm not going to show you names, but I have it here somewhere. Okay, here it is. I had a list that I put together every single day, and that was trailer 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And so the names would just go down this list, and as they left, I would continuously update the list every single day. Wow. So before COVID, my schedule was 8 to 4:30. When COVID happened, I started coming in at 5 a.m. in the morning, not leaving sometimes till 8 o'clock at night. That's a very long day.
Yeah.
And now since then, it's gotten a little bit better, but not as much. Like my schedule is back to normal because there are certain things set in place for us to, do what we need to do. But during COVID, it was very scary.
Wow. Yeah.
And we still in it. We still in it. It's not going anywhere. We still here.
Yeah. 5 to 8 5 a.m., everyone, let's be clear, 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. is a time with probably over 200 bodies, right? 4 trailers, bodies filled, and then a recovery room.
Right. Definitely over 200 bodies. And then all of the trailers weren't together. So there were 2 trailers in one area, and then there were 2 trailers in another building. So imagine a funeral director coming to pick up 2 bodies. So I got to go to this trailer to give him this body, and then we got to go and drive over to the other building to get the other body. You know, it was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot, and that is not even the half of it.
And that definitely is one of the other questions. And because I'm pretty sure there are more impactful things about like just 2020 at large, you know, for you as a person, as a career woman, and all of those things. I've seen it more on the education side. We saw things on the news, but that's definitely like one of the main questions I ask all the professionals and everyone that crossed on this forum, because 2020 impacted people in more ways than anyone could imagine. We saw on the news, we saw New York, we saw how they had to handle bodies that wasn't claimed and all of this other stuff. But actually hear from someone who was frontline in that space is, whew. Okay, so we don't have to do question number 7, because you kind of answered that. It was, was this the career you always wanted? But you already told us that you wanted to actually be a heart surgeon prior to this, and that you chickened out. No, that's fine. It's not. God knew what he needed you to be, so it wasn't really you chickening out. So we kind of got that. Question number 8, how does your family feel about you working in the field that you are in?
You know what? I honestly don't know. Because this is something that I've always done.
Yeah. You did say 20 years, right? 20 years?
Yeah. So I honestly, I don't have an answer for that, because they don't, like, they're not scared, or they don't say, you know, anything. How do you do that? Or no,
not even your nieces. Well, I know your nieces. I've taught some of them before, but they don't ask like, "Oh, how do you do?" No,
nope.
You would have hated me as a niece, because I would have been asking you all the questions.
I wish they would.
You would have been my show and tell. You would have been my science project.
See, they don't utilize me.
Oh my gosh.
I barely get a phone call.
Oh my, utilize me. That is interesting. I'm going to personally share this interview with them so they can see what cool stuff their aunt does. It is, you got to know that. Okay. So we don't know about the family. All right. Question number 9. Is it easy for you to separate work from personal? If so, how do you do
it? It's definitely easy for me to separate work from personal. Okay. How do I do it? I come in this space that you see me in right now, which is my creative space. And I either make something or put something together fashion-wise. I'm doing something dealing with fashion. And that is my outlet. Also, fitness is one of my outlets, and that's how, honestly, during COVID, while everybody was probably gaining weight, I was losing weight.
Yes, you did. And I was like,
it's so funny, because let me tell you, I would live to be able to get off work a little bit early, so the sun was still shining. I was able to have at least an hour, I would literally rush home, put my gym clothes on, and go for a run, because it was the only thing that freed my spirit from the day that I had. I wouldn't even like take a shower. I would literally just change out of my clothes, put on my gym clothes, and go for a run. Because that is what, honestly, that's what kept me continuously moving and going. Because I don't think I think I put fashion, well, I know I put fashion on the back burner. And then it was people, when the George Floyd situation happened, and the Ahmaud Arbery, and it was mainly the George Floyd. Then I got an influx of clients who asked me, can you get me a Black woman or dope shirt? Can you get me a Black men or dope shirt?
Yeah.
I need that shirt because I'm going to a rally. I'm going this. And honestly, I was like numb. Like I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off, doing cases, not getting the proper sleep, and then waking up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning to be at work. And then trying to bust out orders for people who just wanted to show that, our Black lives mattered. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I felt a need to make sure I did what I did. And in doing all that, I still found time. Like my I remember my best friend, she was like, you just came from work, you going to a rally? I was like, yeah, I'm going to a rally. Yeah, because this is not gonna happen.
Right.
If I have anything to do with it, I'm going to always fight and always advocate for our people. My whole clothing line is centered around Black culture. So for me not to go out there and, walk, march, speak about the injustices of our people, I would look like a hypocrite.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, yeah, COVID was going on. Yeah, it was happening. Yeah, I was in the thick of it. Yeah, I was a first responder, but at the end of the day, I'm a servant. And if I can touch anybody in some special way, or if I can lend my voice or my legs or my arms or anything to the injustices of our people, then I'm going to do it.
Yes. Wow. And that's great that you had that outlet. Because like you said, it emotionally for a lot of people last year, and even still currently, was a lot, right? And not everyone had an outlet. Dealing with students, high school students, that I seen the impact. And even for me, feeling like I need to be the voice for these kids, because administration obviously isn't understanding the impact that this is having on our kids as well. It is not just, oh, this child is lazy, they don't want to do anything. No, they're dealing with it the same way that we are. Yeah, we're kicking and pushing, but we also have a check coming to us as well after we finish kicking and pushing. Yeah, they have their degree, but let's be more supportive. So I definitely can understand that. And I'm happy that you had the outlet. For my own purposes, I'm going to insert a picture of me wearing a Black Woman is Dope green hoodie that I love and wear and work out in sport. But we're going to insert more pictures, but this is my time to shine. So this is going to be mine. My moment right here. But yes, I love that hoodie so much. I wore it. I actually am wearing it Friday. Yes, I still plan my outfits for work, even though I'm sitting here at this computer. But yeah, I'm ending out Black History Month on Friday with my Black Woman is Dope hoodie. So yes, but yeah, I'm so happy that you have that outlet because it's necessary. And even though for other people probably seem like, oh, you're just still busy, like you're not taking time, but you know
Right.
that is still your time. That is your
Right.
sanctum. That is your peace. That is, that your creative space. It just gives you that peace of mind. So I am happy for that. Okay. I think you already answered this too. Question number 10 was what inspired you to become a forensic scientist and a death investigator? You kind of talked about the moment before your birthday, walking past the the medical examiner's office. And okay, so to add this question, since you already said it, what was the smell? And why did it make you fill out an application?
I cannot describe the smell. But viewers, if you've ever been to the medical examiner's office on Norfolk Street, then you know what I'm talking about. And I'm gonna leave it there.
Oh my God. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the smell is.
It's an indescribable smell.
Okay. So I took anatomy and physiology at when it was UMDMJ for a course that I was taking at NJCU that we had the opportunity to go and deal with real, what's the proper name? Yeah, cadavers. There we go. Cadavers. There we go. And it was a smell. And I kept asking them, like, what is that? And they were like, oh, it's the chemicals and it's cold and it's this. They didn't really explain
This was at University Hospital?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I wonder if it's the same smell. Yes.
Yeah.
Is it the same smell? No,
it's not the same smell.
Okay.
No. No. Nope.
Okay, she said no. Whatever the smell was, it made her fill out the application. We are here talking with her now. So we thank God for the smell. I don't know. Do we say that? I guess. I guess we want to say that. Okay. Question number. Oh, okay. So yeah, you can elaborate more now. Question number 11. How did being in this field impact you in the year 2020? So you talked about the hours, right? But you could talk about more about how you work.
Yeah. So I will say this. It impacted me in ways that if I wasn't grateful then, which I've always been grateful, I'm super grateful now. Because I've seen and witnessed so many things that come to mind. And I'll just share a couple of stories. So I lost 3 coworkers during the pandemic. And these are not like coworkers that, you literally just walk past. These are coworkers I had lunch with. These are coworkers we went to Christmas parties with. These were people that I knew, that I personally had their number. We considered ourselves family.
Wow.
And so the most devastating part of that was when the person passes away and you don't even have time to mourn that first coworker that passed away. Like you don't even have the time to mourn them because you have to tend to everything else that's going on with the morgue. And it was a point where I came to work. It might have been like 7:00 in the morning. And I don't know if it was my supervisor or a coworker asked me something. And I just got agitated.
Mm.
And it was in that moment that a light went off and I was like, oh, damn, so-and-so is not here anymore.
Mm.
And I just cried out right in the middle of the lab. Literally, like, just like screamed. And it was little moments like that. And the last coworker that passed away, we were really close. She actually came to my 40th birthday party, her and her husband. To have to walk past somebody that you know to get another body for a funeral director, to constantly have to walk past your coworker, it just does something to you. You know, and it's not normal. It's not, you know, and they tried to say, oh, well, we'll let so-and-so go in that trailer and pick, you know, get the bodies or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's only the two of us. And it was really only one of us, which was me. And what am I going to do? Make the funeral director wait until the other guy can come and grab this body, because I can't continuously walk past my coworker that's laying there dead. So it changed me in that aspect. In other aspects, there were family members that, not my family members, but the family members of these COVID patients that I talk to on a daily basis. And, you know, just comforting them and consoling them and trying to get them to a point where they're comfortable enough to know that I'm here to care for them. And, you know, whatever it is that they need to do, you know, nobody's gonna rush them. And, you know, because this is sudden, you know, like this isn't like somebody with cancer who is waiting to die. You know what I mean? This was happening at alarming rates. It was like constantly death, you know? And so, you know, you just want to be sympathetic to people's feelings. And we should definitely value life more. 2020, if 2020 has not taught you anything, it should have taught you to value life more and to not be afraid to step out on faith. So many things were birthed in 2020. So many businesses were birthed in 2020. So many new ideas, so many things occurred out of this. Like, everything wasn't negative. I've seen so many people's businesses flourish in 2020 in the middle of a pandemic. People were buying houses. People were, you know, closing on homes. People were starting new businesses. It was so many good things that came out of it as well.
Yes.
So, you know, we should often try and focus on the good when there's a negative situation that arises.
Yes, that is my motto. Try to find that speck of light, even if it's super tiny for yourself.
Yeah.
And stuff that happens. You don't want to miss an opportunity to smile. Even though there's a lot in the world to frown about and to be sad about. But there are so many moments to smile. So many reasons to have joy, right? even joy just being unchanged, even when all craziness is going all around you, having that joy, having that sense of peace. Yes, I agree. Not one of my questions, but you touched on the empathy aspect of it. And I want to talk about your interview and what got you on the news, the thing that you began to do, and like, how did you start doing it? Why did you start doing it? I'm not going to talk so much about it because I want you to say exactly what got you on the news.
So I began, I think it had took a major toll on me emotionally. Just imagine yourself doing something repetitiously, and every single time you lifted up a trailer door, it was a new deceased patient. You know, it was another aunt, another uncle, another grandmother, another mother, another sister, another brother, another uncle. And it was more than just a medical record number. Like, these were families, these were people who were no longer going to be seen. These were people who left an empty table at the dinner table. These were people whose cars were in the parking lot and had been there for several months until they finally figured out that this person is no longer with us. Wow. These were people whose personal belongings had piled up in a room because nobody was going to touch them. Wow. You know? And so it was Easter Sunday. And, you know, when we think about Easter Sunday, obviously we think about Jesus. Obviously we think about church. And it's a joyous occasion, you know? And so in my spirit, I felt low. I just felt low because these people were laying in this trailer and they weren't celebrating Easter Sunday. You know, they could not talk. They could not get a last word in. Somebody's mother wasn't going to be at the dinner table on Easter Sunday. Somebody's father wasn't going to be laying an egg for the Easter egg hunt for their daughter or for their son. You know what I mean? So, yeah. I was compelled to buy flowers. And I put a flower on every single body bag in every single trailer. And I took that money out of my own pocket and wanted to do something to make myself feel better. Mm-hmm. Honestly, that's honestly the reason why I did it, because after opening up those trailers so often, it was like a dark tunnel, you know? And on Easter Sunday, I went to the florist and I got as many flowers as I could pay for. And I had put them, actually my supervisor said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "You know what?" I said, "On Easter Sunday, I would normally be in church." I said, "But church is closed and I want to do something to make my heart feel happy and to make the hearts of these patients' families feel happy. They won't know what I did and I don't want them to know what I did, but I wanted to do it." And so I put a flower on every single body bag. And then when I started doing it, it started making me feel a little bit better. Mm-hmm. And so I just kept doing it. And I kept doing it and kept doing it. And so then the funeral directors noticed that there was a flower on each body bag. And so there was one funeral director in particular that asked, who's putting the flowers on the body bags? And I said, that's me. And he was like, oh, that's a nice touch. I said, thank you. I said, you know, we want our flowers while we can still smell them, but these people were unable to get their flowers. And so this is my way of giving them some type of dignity to them before they, you know, go wherever they're going to. And so that was the reason why I started putting the flowers in the body bags. And then I guess everybody heard about it, and then all the news outlets started, you know, they were like, oh, you're putting the flowers in the body bags, blah, blah, blah. And then here we are.
Yes. And I'm going to insert a clip of that interview, but the link to the whole interview will be in the description, so you can click and check that out. When I seen it, I definitely was like, you know how you do a double take? Like, wait, I know that girl. Wait, what? And then I heard of what you were doing, and I'm like, wow. I'm like, yeah, that's so Tanisha. That definitely is her. That's so something she would do. So it didn't, like, you know how you hear somebody do something, it's like, oh, I'm so surprised. Oh my God. Right. No, it didn't surprise me at all. I was like, this is definitely got Tanisha vibes all over it. Yes. But I loved it. And I'm pretty sure the families felt comforted to know that they had someone that cared, right? Yeah, because you can go places and people just do their job.
Right.
Anywhere, school system, hospital, whatever. People just doing their job. But to have someone that does their job and care is an added bonus. So I honor you today for doing that. And I pray that someone fill that room that you're in right there with a whole bunch of flowers for yourself. While
I bought some for myself today.
Oh, look at that.
I sure did. You just reminded me. I need to get them out the car. I sure did.
I know that's right. I love that. Okay. Question number 12. We're almost at the end. What are some common misconceptions about your field?
That it's difficult. And you know what? It can be difficult. I had to learn early on not to take what people said literally. Like when I first started in Newark, first of all, let me say this. This is a male dominated industry. And I have two strikes against me. I'm a woman and I'm a Black woman. And you have to, and they're not strikes against me, but they're strikes against me as society would have it. And so I found myself often having to prove my smarts, having to prove my intellect, having to prove who I was, having to prove my strength, having to prove that I mattered, that my voice mattered. I remember starting out there and I had no idea until maybe 3 years into the job that when I first started, that they had a bet going against me that I would not last 2 weeks in that position in Newark.
Hey, what now? Really?
Yep. They had a bet that I would not last 2 weeks in that position. 10 years later, after leaving that medical examiner's office, 10 years.
Wow.
Okay. So I would say to any person that's watching, because I was the youngest African-American female in my position at the medical examiner's office. And then when I got there were more females who had joined the ranks with me, but I was the youngest African-American female in that position. And what I was going to say was, don't let anybody talk you out of your spot because your spot is your spot.
That's it.
What God has for you, it is exactly, just, especially, particularly, strategically made just for you.
Yeah.
And I want young people, I want old people, I want middle-aged people to always know that, it's never too late to do what you've always wanted to do.
Yes. 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 Woo. All right. I mean, and you that was a part of question 14, but I'm going to still let you speak on it again. But yes, I totally agree. No matter what statistics are, no matter what naysayers they are, if God means for you to be there, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's getting laid off on your job, whose contract isn't being renewed. If God meant for you to be there, I tell people all the time, my faith is so strong that I believe that even if they wanted to fire me, they could have typed up a letter.
Right.
And if God meant for me to be there, he would change the wording on that letter to say that they was giving me a raise. And they would have been shook. Like, it's that serious. I believe that.
Right.
And that is great because you paved the way for so many other people, because we don't even know like who will watch this that might have been thinking about, hey, I saw CSI and I wanted to do this thing, but not seeing someone that looks like them in that field being discouraged. And now being able to see this beautiful woman here, you're like, oh, yes, I can do this thing. She's encouraging me. So yes, I firmly agree. Okay, question number 13. Kind of touched on this already. What would you say is the hardest of your work? Like the hardest thing of your work? So I guess we talked from the perspective of 2020, but just in general now, what would you say is the hardest thing?
The hardest thing is talking to the family. That's the hardest thing. I remember working at the medical examiner's office I've worked at several medical examiners' offices in different counties. And the reason why I left Newark was because one of my classmates that I went to elementary school with, we were really, really close. He was murdered. And his mother wanted me to do the autopsy. And I didn't want to. I didn't even want to be there. I didn't want to see his body. I didn't want to. But she insisted, and she did not want anyone else to touch his body. Mm. And so I wanted to honor her request. And so I did it. Well, after I did it, I just did not feel whole. I felt lost. I felt empty. I felt, I had all these not so good feelings. And so that goes back to, if there's something that you've always wanted to do, do it.
Right.
Because I always wanted to be a flight attendant. And so having these feelings, I filled out an application for a flight attendant position, not knowing if I was going to get it, not knowing anything. I got the job. I packed all my stuff up, put it in storage, and moved to California. And I left this field completely, and I was a flight attendant for 5.5 years. And when I tell you God will do certain things for you and put you right where you need to be, living in California was the best experience.
Really?
It was the best experience. It was very expensive, but it was the best experience. And at the time, I want to say like at the 5-year mark, I got a call and an email for a job working at a cancer hospital, being a forensic morgue technician. And I was always fascinated and intrigued by how cancer attacks the body. My dear grandmother passed away from ovarian cancer. So she didn't live very long with the disease. And so I always wanted to find out, what it looked like under the microscope, how it is attacked, what's the cause, and, what happens when its first onset happens, So
Mm-hmm.
I took the interview. Didn't think I was going to get the job, but I did. And so I was flying during the week. Flying on the weekends and working at the hospital in New York on the weekdays. Yeah. And so I had to decide which one I was going to do because it was a lot on me. And by then I was based in New York. So I had moved back here and I was based in New York. So, I decided to take on the job in New York full time. And I did it. But I mean, that just goes to show you, like, you can do anything you want to do. And you don't have to say, oh, I want to be a singer, but I'm 45 years old. Like, look how many people made it.
Right.
At the age that they made it at. Like, if you put in the work and you are intentional about what you want to do and you're constantly perfecting your craft, sky is the limit for what you shall be.
Yes. Well, first off, you're gonna have to send a picture because you got a picture of you and your flight attendant. I didn't even know that part. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. And then you ended up back, right?
And a circle right back around. right back around.
Right back. And it intrigued you because it was something that you always wanted to. So that email came in the exact way God knew that he needed to get your attention.
Yep.
Because had it not had the cancer part, you probably would have been like, nah, I'm good. I'm okay.
Right.
Wow. Yep. Wow. Okay. We are at the tail end, and I'm really excited for this part because, as you all know, I introduced her earlier as the fashionista. So this time, I want you to tell us all about your brand, your clothing line, the thrift store you haul, all of the things that you do. And I will be inserting pictures and clips and videos. But her Instagram name will be up somewhere up here. So you make sure you follow her on her Instagram page. But tell us about your brands and all of the fashionista things that you do.
Well, you should always do what you love.
I peeped that a few minutes ago. I was like, oh, that's why she keeps saying.
Always do what you love. This is at prettygalclothing.com. You can purchase this tee. Yes. Just a plug.
No, it's gonna be in the description. They're gonna be able to click and go right there and buy it. Yes, they are.
Right. So I always loved fashion. Like my grandmother taught me literally how to walk in heels. She taught me how to just look good in your clothes, or to always put perfume on. She always had Coco Chanel perfume on her dresser, and she would always dab a little bit on me before church. And so I would always play in her pearls, and I just loved clothes, and I loved vintage pieces. And so my love for my grandmother's pieces sparked an interest in me and gave me my love for just thrift shopping. I used to run a youth program where I would talk to the teenagers, and I would always come in dressed to the nines. Like I would come in after work, and if you know any of my friends, they would always say, you never look like you worked at the medical examiner's office because you always dressed up. That's the misconception. That's what people always think. And I always say that you never know who you're going to meet. You never know who you're going to come across. And you always have to dress the part. So every day I wear scrubs, right? Mm-hmm. But when I go into the office, from the time I leave my door until I get to the office, I'm dressed. Because I don't know who I'm going to run into.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so I've always had that mantra. I've always carried that with me. Pretty Gal Clothing started off about 7 years ago. And it just started off with, like I said, sustainable pieces. And it was pieces that anybody could wear if you were on a budget. You know, if you're on a budget, this is what you could wear. And then it further went into me getting thrifted pieces. Now showing people how you can put old and new together and mesh them, and they can still work. And they can still look good, and they can be affordable, and you don't have to spend an arm and a leg on it. I just recently went to a wedding, and I absolutely did not buy a new dress. I wore a thrifted dress that I had in my closet that I've never worn before, might I add. Mm-hmm. And I had 3 dresses to choose from, and all 3 of the dresses were thrifted. The only new item that I had on in that photo were the shoes, but everything else was thrifted. And I just want people to understand that thrifting, number one, is eco-friendly. You're not hurting the earth. You have to have patience. A lot of people always say, oh, take me with you, take me with you. this is my business. Right. This is not, oh, come along with me. This is my business. So I treat it like my business. So yeah, if you want to hire me for your services, hey, I'm available. But I can't take you with me and then you're pouting in a corner because you got an attitude because I'm taking long on doing my business.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So you have to respect people's business. You don't go into Chanel and Gucci and ask them to, take you along and give you the hookup. You would never do that because they ain't gonna give you the hookup. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
Period. Mm-hmm. So I had a client. I had somebody text me yesterday. Told me, asked me if I could make them a cape. Like I don't have a life. Like I don't have nothing to do. But today, because they was flying out on Thursday. They flying out tomorrow. So you contact me late in the afternoon yesterday. Asked me if I could. I absolutely cannot make you anything. No, sorry, sis. What you're not going to do is wait to the last minute.
Okay.
That's what you're not going to do.
We don't like last minute things.
Hello. No, because you knew about this trip 2 months ago or a month ago. And so now you scrambling and rambling because you ain't got nothing to wear. And now you need my assistance. Okay, I'm going to assist you. I have these pieces that you can fit. If you're interested, here you go. And that worked out for her because at the end of the day, I don't have time to go run to a fabric store to make you first of all, I have a 9 to 5.
Right.
I would love to have the luxury of thrifting and pretty gal clothing to be my main gig, but I'm working towards that. You know what I mean? So, right. I'm not going to leave you destitute, but I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you a little something. So you like this or you keep it moving.
Right. Right. Oh my gosh. I love the videos and surprise to you, because maybe you did not know this, you actually was my inspiration to start thrifting. Like when I would see when I would see the pieces that you would get, because prior to, again, patience, okay, that's a fruit of the spirit, but when it came to that thrift store shopping, I ain't have it. I just want to go in and find it. But when I saw, I'm like, oh, no way she got this from there. No way, no way. So even my, I turned 30 last year in November. My husband's a photographer, so I wanted to do a 30s themed photo shoot. And I went to the thrift store and I recreated this thing, this look in my head. I'll send you some pictures if you haven't seen them already. But the 30s theme, and I was able to literally find everything I needed in the thrift store. And it took time. It wasn't just one visit either.
Right. I will say this. You have to go in knowing what you want.
Right.
Like if you go in and you don't know what you want, that ain't a good look.
Yeah.
Because guess what? You're going to get aggravated and agitated. So you have to go in knowing what you want. Now, I provide all types of services to closet revamp. If you have a whole bunch of stuff in your closet and you don't know how to put it together or to piece it together, I can assist you with that. I can assist you if you're going out for a special occasion and you want to do something completely different from what you normally do. I can assist you with that. Closet revamp, photo shoots, providing clothing for photo shoots, whatever it is that you need me in your closet.
Right.
So, that's my Instagram. You need me in your closet, for that portion. for the thrifting portion, and my other page is Pretty Gal Clothing.
And
On Insta,
I'm gonna
Pretty
tag
Gal and
both
J
of them.
Clothing.
Tag both of them so you guys can follow.
Yeah. So yeah, fashion is my therapy. Yeah, fashion is my therapy. That is my therapy. I think I'm going to make a shirt that says fashion is my therapy.
Listen, you heard it here first. It's already branded. Don't try to steal it, huh?
Don't, because I'm gonna come for you.
This is a form of copyright. If you didn't know that, she said it on the video. So there it is, and it's timestamped. So we have it. But thank you, Tanisha, so much for your transparency, for the eye-opening reality to your field and fashion, right? Your field and fashion. All of it was just so enlightening, so informative, so inspiring. And if you aren't inspired after watching this, I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know where we need to go.
I'm gonna need your help, D.
Okay.
I'm gonna need your help because I forgot to tell the people that I am doing a podcast that is going to launch next month. And so
what's the podcast going to be about?
The podcast is going to be about everyday life. It's going to be mainly about transparency. It's going to be talking about, it'll be fashion. It'll be what's going on in the world today, life, politics, COVID, any and everything. But the main ingredient will be transparency. And the name of the podcast is The Secret Ingredient Podcast.
I love that.
So, yeah, The Secret Ingredient
exciting. Podcast. Yes, and we will be listening.
I'm excited. Yes, and it's on Instagram too, The Secret Ingredient Podcast.
And that, so I'm going to add that link too, so you can go and follow. So that's 3 pages. Pretty Girl Clothing, The Secret Ingredient Podcast, and then You Need Me in My Closet. You need me in your closet. Yes.
Closet. Right.
So we're going to tag all of those in the description so you can go and follow. Do you have any last words? Thank
you for thinking of me.
Of course.
Thank you for actually thinking of little old me. I am honored to be on your show.
Thank you. No, thank you for agreeing. Listen, busy woman, we already heard the schedule. So I know. Thank you for taking the time today after work, might I add, and coming to be a part of this and just talking to us. I really appreciate it. So I thank you. I
want to put you on the spot, D.
Uh-oh.
Can you just sing me a little bit of something inspirational?
On this recording right now. That's what you want me to do.
Yeah, because God gave you that gift.
Oh my gosh.
He gave you that gift, and
who told this woman to come on here and ask me to sing?
I want to say this. Your voice is so unique and so different. And when the first time I met you at Chosen, I was like, who is that, Fatima? Who is that? And she was like, oh, that's D. And I was like, let me tell you, her voice is just, it's like whoosh. You know what I mean? Like it just comes in and it takes over your whole entire body. And I just love to hear you, especially for praise and worship. I just love to hear you just praise him. Like, and you can tell that it's so genuine and it's honorable. You know what I mean?
Oh man. She won't put it on this recording. Can I stop recording?
No.
She
You
said
gotta
no.
do that.
Add it in the episode.
You gotta close us out.
Not close us out. Okay, let's see. What are we gonna do? Oh, I don't think
you a song.
I mean, you probably can. I probably don't know the words though. So give me one.
I love you. I love you.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. You heard her, y'all heard her sing. She's gonna try to play. Okay. Here we go. I love you. I love you. I love you, Lord, today because you care for me in such a special way. That's why I praise you. I lift you up and I magnify your name. That's why my heart is filled with praise. I never had anybody come on here and ask me to sing. Oh,
hallelujah.
My God. Only to don't y'all try to come on this show after this and say she only get this. Okay, only she gets this. But thank you. Thank you again. As I say all the time, people, make sure you are living in purpose, on purpose. Okay. Love you guys. Bye.